Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into something really exciting today, a totally dynamic, highly actionable blueprint for building wealth from absolute zero. Seriously, if you've ever felt like, wealth is exclusively reserved for people with trust funds or elite connections, well, we're going to completely dismantle that myth today. We're getting right into the psychology, the paradigm shifts, and the exact systems used by a regular guy who started with literally nothing and engineered his way to total financial freedom. Let's just jump right in. Okay, I want you to picture this. Imagine starting with absolutely nothing. No money, no connections, no rich parents swooping in to bail you out. We're talking about a small room, a cheap phone, and a bank account hovering dangerously close to zero. Waking up every single morning to that exact same harsh reality. It's a really heavy place to be, right? But as you'll see, it's also the absolute ground floor of our blueprint today.
All right, section 1, the starting line.
Now, it's incredibly important to emphasize something right out of the gate here. The guy in our story wasn't lacking potential. He was just lacking direction. And honestly, that's exactly where most people get stuck. But then, one day, he had this radical mindset shift. He realized, if I don't fix my financial life, no one else will. That was his ultimate call to action. Because there was no rescue boat on the horizon. Taking radical responsibility for that reality was the exact spark that ignited everything else.
Which leads us to section 2, chasing skills, not money. Think about how wild and counterintuitive it feels to chase knowledge when your bank account is literally at zero. Well, everyone else around him was just, endlessly scrolling social media looking for cheap entertainment. He asked a massive, game-changing question. What skill can make me valuable? Instead of desperately hunting for fast cash, he focused on becoming someone the market actually needed. He built this whole arsenal of value, learning to write, learning to edit, offering digital services. He basically engineered his own worth from scratch.
But let's be real, the journey doesn't sugarcoat the reality here. Because effort without results feels exactly like failure. I mean, imagine spending hours and hours mastering a complex skill, feeling super productive, only to check your bank account and see a whole lot of nothing. It's enough to make anyone want to just throw their phone at the wall and go back to watching cat videos, right? But he absolutely refused to quit. Deep down, he held onto this core belief that skills eventually create income. Period. So, let's move to section 3, the first hard win.
So when he finally felt ready to take those new digital skills to the market, guess what? He got 0 clients. Absolutely nothing. Zilch. This is the exact point where the vast majority of people just throw in the towel. But he pushed through that awful sting of rejection because he understood a fundamental rule of business. The first win is always, always the hardest. You're basically pushing a giant boulder from a dead stop. And then suddenly, the dam broke, all for just a few dollars. Now, I know that sounds completely insignificant, right? But psychologically, it meant everything. He finally had tangible proof that he could generate income. The system actually worked.
Welcome to section 4, the investing secret.
As those few dollars slowly turned into consistent income, he gained some actual financial control. He was no longer broke. But this introduces the ultimate trap, doesn't it? Lifestyle inflation. Most people, the very second that first real paycheck clears, immediately want to look rich. They go out and buy the flashy new phone, the expensive clothes, maybe a car they can't really afford. But our guy completely bypassed that trap. Instead of trying to look rich, he made the disciplined choice to actually become rich. He started asking a much better question. How can I make this money grow?
And that specific question led him straight to the real secret sauce, compound growth. It's a simple concept. It's just money making money, and then that money making even more money. Honestly, at first, the effects of compounding feel practically invisible. You're watching pennies slowly turn into dimes, and man, it takes an immense amount of patience. But given enough time, compounding acts as this absolute, unstoppable force. Here's how that unstoppable force actually plays out over time. First, you start small. You're measuring your progress in months as you just try to get your footing. Then, you stay consistent. Over the years, as your newly minted skills rapidly increase your active income, your investments are just quietly compounding in the background, doing their thing. And finally, that magical tipping point arrives. Your money works for you. You achieve true, unshakable financial freedom. Which brings us to our final section, section 5, your choice to start.
Listen, there was absolutely nothing special about the guy in this story. He had no secret advantages, no hidden opportunities, no lucky breaks. His entire transformation came down to just one single decision: having the courage to begin. So we've got to stop waiting for the perfect time or some sudden burst of motivation. The blueprint is astonishingly simple. 1, start learning valuable skills. 2, start earning that incredibly difficult first dollar. And 3, start investing to let compound growth take over. You have to start small, yeah, but the absolute most critical part is that you must start now. Fast forward into the future for a second. Eventually, you're going to look back on today. And when that day comes, what are you going to say? Are you going to say, man, I really wish I started earlier? Or will you be able to smile and say, I'm so glad I did? The entire blueprint is right there for the taking, but the choice to become the hero of your own financial story, that's entirely up to you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep building, and I'll see you next time.